Hi, I'm Frances Proctor, otherwise known as Angel Eyes Online. Today I'm going to show you how to do a dispersion effect, where the subject of your image looks like it's dissolving and pieces are being dispersed into the air. So to begin, we are going to need to gather some resources and then do a little bit of setup. So you can see here, these are some of the resources that we're going to use. We've got some nice vector shapes here that I've downloaded. And I've got a PNG image here. Now this, believe it or not, started out as a Photoshop brush. So I'll start by showing you where I've downloaded my resources and how I've managed to get this Photoshop brush into Xara. So we're going to start over here, and this is how we got the Photoshop brush into Xara. I've gone to texturemate.com and I have downloaded a free utility called ABRmate. Simply click here for the ABRmate page, click here to download the zip file, unzip it, and install ABRmate on your computer. Now once that's done, you're going to need a smoke brush. The one I downloaded it here. It's a freebie from it's a DeviantArt page. I'll post the link to this in the thread on topgraphics.com when I've finished and made my post there. And the vector grunge shapes, I've downloaded them from allsilhouettes.com, and we've got this nice collection of the vector grunge that you already saw on my page. So let's get back to Designer Pro and get busy. So basically, I'll quickly show you how I've converted this using ABRmate. So once ABRmate is installed, I'll bring that up, and this is your ABRmate page. And you can see I've already loaded the brush. I've simply clicked here to open the brush set, browsed through my computer to find where I had the brush stored, and I've loaded it into ABRmate. And it's loaded. You can see the thumbnail for the brush. And ABRmate can do some pretty neat things. And one of the things I like is right click. You've got a chance to preview full size. So let's click that. Preview full size. There it is. And got a nice big full size image that you can preview. And we can go over here, and this is the main thing what you're going to want to look at over here. Export selected brush to PNG. We want to click that, and it will collect this, or export rather, this image as a PNG file with alpha transparency, which is absolutely perfect for our use today. So let's go back down here to our Xara page, and you can see I've just drag and drop these in from an Explorer window onto my page. It is just quick and simple to browse to where you've downloaded them to and drag and drop. The silhouettes came in as an AI file, which imports into Xara quite easily and readily. And of course, so does the PNG. Alright, and now let's see, where have I got these? Alright, this is on layer background. Okay, now this stuff right now is on the background layer. I'm going to move this stuff for now. I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to go arrange, and I'm going to go move to layer in front. Now this will put them onto my shapes layer. And that's where they're going to remain for now. We're going to get started working on our image. We need to do a couple of things. First off, we need to remove her from the background, and we need to create a new background for her. So let's start by first creating our new background. And I'm simply going to go here, and I'm going to click and select the rectangle tool. I'm going to make sure that this one up here, that the snap to objects is turned on, and I'm just going to go down here and bring it up here. You can see it snaps, which is what we want, and I'm just going to bring it over. I'm going to make it a little wider. to give us a bit of room for our dispersion effect. And then I'm going to click all that, create my rectangle. Now I'm just going to hit Control B, and I'm going to send it to the back. Now we want to match this up to the background that's in there. So basically all I've done is I'm going to give this, I'm going to change the fill from a flat fill to a fractal plasma fill. And I'm just going to draw this out and make it really big. And I'm going to go and I'm going to bring up the color editor. And of course, it's just going to take me a few minutes to load things here because of the screencast software running in the background here. And let's just change this to a, whoops, wrong one. I want to change the color model up into here so we can. That's still not what I wanted. HSV. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is use this drop down list here. And you can see local start color and a local end color. I'm going to start with the local start color and select that. And I'm just going to click and use the eyedropper tool. And I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to click a really light color close to her hair. And then we're going to go up here and I'm going to click the local end color and use the eyedropper tool again, and this time I'm going to click on one of the darker colors in the image. And then you can kind of move this around, move this over. You want to have it so that there's going to be a light color in behind this area in the hair. Alright, so that's that done. So now, for the next part, I am going to move this up and out of the way. And this way it's not underneath our photo and it's going to make our masking and erasing, well, not so much the masking, but the erasing easier to see. Alright. So now we need to remove our model from her background. And if you have Designer Pro 10, the latest version, I do suggest using the background erase for this because it is a bit quicker. If not, you can do it the old way with an older version by simply using the shape tool and just start clicking and bend the line to fit, continue on, and go all the way around her. And you're going to need to cut out all of the pieces in here, and it is time consuming to do around the hair, but it can be done. I'm going to show you how the newer version works, and we're going to use the background erase. So I'm just going to delete this line, and I'm going to start by masking her out, and let's increase the size here, make it a bit bigger to begin with, and I'm just going to scribble over her. Now I'm doing this with a pressure sensitive pen, which is really handy for this, but it isn't entirely necessary to do this with a graphics tablet and a pressure sensitive stylus. You can simply do it with the mouse, although it does take a little bit longer to do your masking. And you just want to make sure that all the colors here are masked over. And I'm just going to zoom in here quickly. And on this side of her, we really need to take care and do some tiny masking. You can zoom in quite a ways in, and you want to mask out some of these flyaway hairs. The more than you mask, actually, the more natural this is going to look when it's done. You know, mask out these wispy ones here. Mask it all, a whole bunch out here. Keep it kind of smooth around here. There's another wispy one here you can mask out. You're kind of getting the idea. I'm not being extremely careful with my masking at the moment. You're going to need to be more careful. That said, you want to select hair and try to select this little, you really don't want to select this background if you can help it. So the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to switch to the eraser tool and I'm going to zoom out. And with the erasing, you basically want to do the same thing. You want to, oh, hang on, I want to undo that. I got a softness setting on my eraser brush. I want to remove that. Alright, and we're just going to start and erase out around here, erase around here, erase around here, erase around here and here. And then we're going to zoom in, and again, you need to put some eraser marks inside this selection, which is inside her arm. And you need to, you need to show the program you want to erase that. You're going to show the program you're going to want to erase in here a bit. Go back to masking because you want to mask out this bit of hair too as well. You're kind of getting the idea that you do need to take a bit of care around this side to make it look more natural. It's not so important on the other side because we're going to be chopping that one up and turning it into a dispersion effect anyways. So I'm just going to zoom out here as soon as this backup save finishes. Should disable that for this tutorial. Alright. So I'm going to zoom out here, and I've got one here already masked and laid out, and it's pretty much ready to go. Set my background erase button up in here. Click that. And Xara does its magic. And you can see, even though I was a lot more careful around the hair, I still wasn't careful enough, and I'm going to have to fix that up a bit. But first, before I do that, I'm just going to bring the background in. Set up my background where I want it, and in order to fix that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on her, and I'm going to take my eraser brush again, zoom in, and I find for this a bit of softness on this for doing this is going to help. It's going to mean we're going to have to convert her. It doesn't make a little different with her in the later, but this should work for now. And then I'm just going to simply go in there, make sure she's selected when you do this, by the way, and just simply sort of smooth out this, and you can just see, just go like, whoops, undo. See, that's what happens. You got to make sure she's kept selected. And I'm just going to do this little bit so you can see how I tidied it up. That gives you an idea, and and in here again, you can smooth this out, tidy it up a little bit, increase the size of your brush, and down in here a bit. Oops. It gives you an idea of how you can tidy that up. So anyways, let's zoom out, and I've got one here where I've done with my tidying up, and I think I took some of that spread out of here. Yeah, I did, which made it quite a bit easier. And you can see she's tied up. She looks pretty good. And you can see I left a bit of wisp sticking out in here, but I didn't worry too much about tidying them up because you're not going to see them when we're done anyways. So this is basically where we're at now. Now we're going to go down and we're going to have a look in our, now where am I? I'm going to open this up. No, okay, I'm on this one. Alright. There we go. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to open up the shapes layer here. You can see all of the shapes on here. When we're done, there's going to be hundreds more, which is one of the reasons why I've separated this off to a separate layer. So I'm going to start by prepping these shapes now for using to create our opacity masks on here. So I'm going to start by going into the vector shapes. If you're going to use these vector shapes, I'm just going to right click and drag a couple copies of these over to the other side. That one, grab that one, and that one. I did it before, and I'm just going to quickly go like this, and I'm just going to bring these down a bit. And we'll bring our smoke brush over, and I'm just going to reduce the size. Okay, so now this is what we're going to be working with. And basically, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this one, and I'm going to leave one whole copy. Right click and drag to create another copy, and on this one, I am simply going to go Arrange, Break Shapes, and there we go. It's turned it into hundreds of little shapes. So basically, I'm going to see if I can click on here somewhere, and there. Now I've got a big shape here. I'm going to pull that out, and you can see all of these little shapes in here, and there's all kinds of them you can use to create your dispersion effect with. With the smoke brush, the way I broke it down was simply by, first off, I'll make an extra one of these. We'll leave one hole, and again, I'm going to break this down, but of course I can't go break shapes on a photograph. So what I basically, all I did was I just took my freehand tool here and make sure nothing's selected, and I just quickly do some shapes around here. Shift, select both, Control 4. And you can see now this is separated. And I continue doing that, and I've made a few different shapes with some of the wispies in here and in here, and some in here. And that's how I did that. So now to speed things along, I'm just going to go down here to my next one, and you can see I've got all of these over here, and I've got all of these over here. I've got some white ones, and I've got some black ones. So this is what we're going to need from now on. The rest of these over here, you can really simply delete them if you desire. We don't need them anymore. So you can see here I've got my original smoke, and I've got some smaller pieces that I'm going to work with. And I've got the same selection over here in white. And the vector ones, I simply selected them all, clicked down here on the white on the color line, and I made them all white. The smoke ones, I simply selected them, right clicked, no, I gotta select one, selected it, right clicked, and I clicked Set Contone Dark Color, and that set my black to white, and that gave me white smoke instead. So that's our setup there. Now let's get going on actually creating the first opacity mask. Now to begin with, we're going to need an extra layer. You can see here I've created a top layer, and you can see I have a bunch of these clipped photos. That's a bunch of these are on the top layer, and I haven't bothered moving these to the top layer. You can see they're still on the layer shapes because the opening poster has asked about doing this as a smoke effect. So I'm going to, from here on in, I'm going to be using the smoke. So you need your black ones on the top layer. The white ones you're going to leave on the layer shapes. And in order to move them, I simply just selected the ones I wanted to move. I went up to the top, arrange, and I moved, again, just moved to the layer in front, which put it on my top layer. All right. Now, before we can apply an opacity mask to this image, I used a soft eraser brush to tidy her up, which means she's already got an opacity mask attached to her. So I cannot apply an opacity mask to an opacity mask. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select her, and I am going to simply right click. We are going to create a bitmap copy. But before I create the bitmap copy, what I'm going to do to save myself some time, I'm going to hold down the shift key while I do this and click create bitmap copy. Exporting the PNG file, loading. Okay, and we want to make sure that it shows true color and alpha. Hold down shift, click create, and we should have, we do, we've got another photo here, photo bitmap, and you can see our photo group map. I'm actually going to just click the little icon here, and I'm going to hide this bottom one because we don't really need it and we don't want to be selecting it by accident. You could actually delete it, but I think I'm going to leave it there. It's up to you. So now the next thing we need to do is I need to just bring her, the new one, down below our photos. So now she's on top of the one I hid, but she's below our photos. So now we can apply an opacity mask to this copy. So let's get started with the opacity mask, the first opacity mask. This is going to subtract from the image. We're going to use these black ones to subtract from the image. So I'm going to start by bringing the right click on this, and I'm going to bring this in. And what's going on? Oh, it's still on the layer shapes. That's why. I'm going to do that. I thought I had this all on the layer. Why is that on layer shapes? Oh, it's just the white ones. Okay. Sorry about this. So let's arrange. Go to layer in front. Okay. Bring her so she's behind all of these. Okay, I didn't realize I had these ones on my, I've got the wrong ones on this top layer. These need to be on the layer shape, so arrange, move the layer behind. Okay, so now our opacity masks are on the right layers. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring this over here. Right click on, we'll bring copy over here. I'm going to pull this down like so. I'm going to right click and create another one. I'm going to turn this one around. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. I'm going to pull this one kind of up in here like so. Let's bring in a few smaller pieces, and you can see basically I'm just adjusting sizes and turning them around, and just, you know, we're going to create the effect that she's dissolving in the smoke, kind of a thing. So you want to keep doing that, and I'm going to speed this part up so you can see me actually doing this, but it's not going to take as much time. Okay, so now I've got enough of these in place to create the effect that she's dissolving here. So I'm going to select these like this. So we've got all of our, they're all selected, and I'm going to cut these to the clipboard using Control X. Whoops, we didn't get them all. Undo. All right, we need to definitely get them all. Did we get them all this time? Yes, we did. All right, so Control X to cut them to the clipboard. I'm going to select her. Now you've got a couple of choices here. If you've got Designer Pro X, it's really handy to be able to set a keyboard, or not Designer Pro X, sorry. If you've got Designer Pro 10, it's really handy to be able to set a keyboard shortcut to paste your opacity mask in place. If you don't have a keyboard shortcut set for that, you can simply right click, paste opacity mask, and then you'll have to use the keyboard arrows to move it into place. Oh. It's pasting it in on linear shapes. Why is it done that time? Okay, you can see here now, earlier I forgot to hide my background layer. So now I've now hidden my background layer. So now you can see how the opacity mask has affected our model here, and she's now got pieces missing out of her, which is good. This is what we want. So this is the first part. So now I'm going to bring that background back in, and of course you're not going to be able to see this at the moment, but it will be noticeable, and you'll see what we need to see when we're done. And the reason we're not seeing this right now is because we've got our background layer, which is going to disappear later, filling in the parts that we've just chopped out. So now we're going to take, and I'm going to open the background just to show you here. You can see we've got the rectangle, we've got our background, and I've got looks like I got a copy of one of the brushes still on there. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to create the part that makes the effect work. So I'm going to go into our background, and I'm going to open this up, and we're going to select this photo group here. This is our girl on the background layer now that I've got selected, and we're going to go into the live effects here, and I'm going to go new. We're going to go down to the deformation filters, and we're going to open up the liquid color. But before I do that, I need to have room in the liquid color filter to pull her out. And in order to do that, I have a handy little trick for that. So I'm going to create another rectangle here, or actually what we'll do, I'm simply going to duplicate the background rectangle. I'm going to go Control K. Oops. Okay, yeah, that's done it. That's duplicated the background rectangle. And because I've got my top layer still showing. Let's turn that top layer off for a minute so I can work here. Now this background layer, I'm going to go into the transparency, and I am going to pull this down. We're going to make it 99% transparent. And I am going to make sure that this background rectangle now comes down, and it needs to be below the photo. You can see I just drag and dropped it down over here, so it is below the photo. So I've got, oh, it didn't go. try it again. So we're going to drag it down. It needs to be above the bottom one, but below the photo. So I've got rectangle and I got the transparent rectangle here. So with that transparent rectangle still selected, hold Shift, select the girl, and I'm going to group these two. Control G. Alright, so now we've got a group, we've got our rectangle, and we're ready to go into the liquid color filter. So let's quickly do that. Deformation, liquid color. Just takes a second. So now when the liquid color filter opens up, you can see we've got all this extra space to work with here, and we're going to need it. So I'm going to bring my brush size up and make it nice and big. And I'm going to just click and drag, and I'm going to pull her out. I'm going to give her big thighs. And I'm going to bring the brush size down because I'm just trying all over. And I want to increase the size of it. We're going to just pull her out and completely warp the bejeebers out of her. There we go. We're going to start by doing this. We're going to completely warp the bejeebers out of her. We'll do the same here. I know her face is warping, but remember we're going to have our perfect top copy on top. The more you pull this out, the more of a dispersion effect you can create, the bigger your dispersion effect is going to be. So I'm just going to keep pulling this and working it out. Let's work some of the hair up like this. Pull this up here like so. Let's bring that brush size up now. We've got lots more arm to work with. Make it faster. You get the idea here. Alright, this will give you the idea of how this is going to get done. And I'm going to pull some of this arm down. Pull some of this up. Too much. Let me just... You can play around with different brush sizes and kind of smear this so that it's not alright. This should give us what we need. At least it'll give you the idea. So when we're done, we're going to click OK. Now, this is going to take a few minutes for this live effect, especially with the recording going on. It's going to take a few minutes for this live effect to generate. So I'm just going to maybe we'll pause the recording for a second until it generates. Okay, so there, now we've got our live effect generating. And no, I haven't lost my mind. This is going to become a dispersion effect. All right. I'm just going to zoom in here. And I'm going to close down this background layer. We're going to work on the shapes layer now for the rest of this. So I want to make sure that the shapes layer is selected. And the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to bring back that top layer. I'm going to unhide that top layer that I hid before. So I'm going to click that to show. So now we can see you've got the original untouched one, and then we've got all of this now showing behind her. Here's where the fun begins. I'm going to start by creating another rectangle, and I want to make sure this rectangle is black, so I'll select black. And we're just going to click down here and create this black rectangle in behind, like so. Now you can see where we took away from her. Now we're going to pile in some white shapes in order to make the dispersion effect. So I'm just going to right click and drag. I'm going to bring this one in. And I'm going to bring this one in. I'm going to pull this one right in there like that. Yeah, that looks good. You can see that it looks like it's just coming right out of her. And for this, we can even make some of these look just a little bigger. And now I'm going to take some of these other. I'm going to take another copy of this, and this time I'm going to turn it like so, and we're going to just kind of bring this in here like this. And again, we can make this as big as we want. Maybe turn it a bit more. Pull it back in here. Like this. Oh yeah, this is looking really good. We don't have to worry too much if this is layered. Oh, we can pull that actually in behind. You can see it's just going to slip right it's going to slip right in behind the other one, and you can actually stretch these if you want. Oh yeah, I like that. Let's bring in another one. Pull this one in. And bring this one up behind her head. Like so. And then I'm going to bring in some of these smaller bits and pieces. I'm going to work some of these in behind her arm. Now I want to zoom in because I've got some showing in here. Which is actually not what I want. So let me just see where it's coming from. Alright, it's coming from this one. We're just going to turn that. I want to try and keep this empty of all white because it's going to, when we're done, all these white shapes are actually going to fill in with bits and pieces that we've created from that liquid color effect. So I'm just going to pull this down. It's alright if it shows the, like so. There we go. Now let's take some of these smaller ones. Oh, that's a big one. Delete. We'll get some smaller ones from over here. I'm going to bring this one in here. Bring this one in. I'm just going to bring a couple copies of some of these in up here so that I can zoom in and work from there with these smaller copies around. Because we're going to use these around our arms. I'm going to bring this one in here like so. This one I'm going to flip it. And bring it like that. Pull some of these. Take it on one of these that can into here, like that. Bring another one of those in. This time with this one, I'm going to go like this and make a copy of that and put that right in there. Another copy. I'm going to flip it horizontally. So you kind of can see the effect I'm creating here with the smoke and the wisps. And I think this one, I'm going to flip that and rotate it. And of course, I got to bring it down. Let's rotate that just a bit more. Get the effect I'm after. Oh, there we go. That's looking good. So you can kind of, I'm sure by now you've gotten the idea of what I'm doing here. So I'll add a few more pieces in just for a bit more effect. You can see I'm sort of stretching some of these to add a bit more variety here. Alright, put that one out. Okay, so this is what our dispersion effect is pretty much going to look like. Now this is kind of... So now the next thing we're going to do is I need to select this black rectangle, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm just actually now I'm going to move a bunch of this stuff out of my way for a second. Alright. So select the black rectangle, hold down Shift, and we need to select all of our white pieces. So I'm going to go almost all the way over, but not quite, because I don't want to select the photo. And I'm just going to double check to make sure here that I haven't got any, no, okay, I didn't get her. So I've got 24 objects in total selected. Again, I'm going to group these, Control G. Oh, I see I didn't get it all, so let's go Control Z. Shift. We've lost that one. Okay. Now I want to make, let's go Control G again. No, there's still missing some at the top. Control Z. It's kind of hit and miss with this. Hold down Shift. Let's move these two black guys out of the way. Let's try this again. Okay, I think I've got everything now. Control G to group. There we go. So this black and white now is going to become our next opacity mask. So let's go Control X to cut that to the clipboard. Now we're back to this mask. So we're going to click on the the group here with the live effect. Now before I go any further with this, I'm just going to go in here, and because that liquid color effect took so long to render before, I'm going to lock this in place. And this will just speed this along. So now I'm going to go back here with it selected. And I'm going to hit my keyboard shortcut from my opacity mask. And I've applied the opacity mask. And we'll zoom in here. And voila! Now this one isn't perfectly done because I think I had a little bit too much, it's a little too solid in a few of these places. So, I mean, you definitely might need to work it. But this definitely gives you the idea of how to do it. With taking a bit more care with placing your opacity masks, you can sort of see how this effect works and how you can do it in Xara.